Bonnie Apriloppo triggered first. Welcome to the stream. The way is real. I am the first one in the stream. Where are you? No of us. Bonnie and Anki, welcome to the stream, pals. How are you doing? Are you doing alright? And yes, Bonnie was first in the stream. Well, let's continue this little horror story, yeah? Hammered on the job, that will be something. But
wouldn't dream of it, whiskey.
I am first, yes. Sorry, Anki, she was first in the chat. I was first here, she was brought first. How can you prove that? Yes, horrifying. Hashtag horrifying. To be last.
You're allowed to be if you want it, though it's a bit early for it. So thanks for the save.
I guess second then. Yes, Anki, you can be the second. And Bonnie, you're the first. Well, welcome, early squad. Hope you all are doing fine today. Really, it is much appreciated. Even though the circumstances during our first meeting were not savory or wholesome, I can't bring myself to completely look at Mr. Wright in a bad light. Nothing came out of it, after all.
It's no trouble at all. I've been told I have a gift for catching pretty ladies. Being a great catch myself.
Valentina Grossu, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today?
Is that so? Would you say you'll be able to catch if another man were to pitch?
Perhaps, but I wouldn't know. I don't play baseball. Mint.
I don't play baseball. Mint.
Right. Of course you don't.
Dude, like this stream. Also, first one to like this stream. It's the early squad. And I'm quite good, thank you for asking. I'm really good, actually. I was researching a bit. And maybe I will be able to play PlayStation 4 games in the future. This stream will play PlayStation 4 games in the future. It will be quite amazing, actually, if that was able to do. I can't help but chuckle at my little joke, but it looks like it completely went over his head. If I had understood it, I guess it would have been inappropriate. He is my client, after all. Speaking of which, where's Mr. Wright? Whatever little camaraderie I had with whiskey is forgotten, however. I straighten up and glance behind him, only to find that he's on his own. Mrs. Wright is still absent. No, sorry, I clicked it first, you were stuck in this. I still remember my place and why I'm here. To continue in such a manner with her husband would feel like a breach of trust between my client and I.
Since you are here, I don't suppose Mrs. Wright is on her way down? It is 10:30 after all.
She'll be down here in a moment. For now, you have me. Can't I just chat with a good friend?
We are not friends, Mr. Wright. We are not friends.
I don't think a night where we talk like two drunk Egypts makes us good friends.
None here to know, Anki. No one knows.
And if you have any bit of sense, it's better to forget that night ever happened.
What? Why not? It was a good night, if a bit boring.
You know exactly why. We both know what your intentions were that night. And to find out that you're married? If there's even an ounce of decency in you, if you'd like the world to be a little less messed up, you'll remember your wife and what you almost did to your Mrs. Wright.
Lol, you were the first viewer, chill. Chill out! Take a Snickers! And just relax back into the comfortable site. It's better to get that out of the way once and for all. That fit into your... that... It's better to get that out of the way once and for all.
Well, no need to be such a killjoy about it.
Well, you are a killjoy, Mr. Wright. The dead air between us, because it can't be anything else but that, is broken as a lively voice calls out from the loft.
Marianne! I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long. I know we agreed we'd start at 10 o'clock, but mornings just simply do not agree with me. Not one bit. It's been like this since I've been in university.
It's 5 minutes to 11 o'clock. These high-ended clients sure like to be fashionable late. Who is Killjoy? That guy over there on the screen, Mr. Wright, is a Killjoy. So he's a Killjoy. None of you are Killjoy. Hey, do you know what bay means? In Danish, bay means poop. So, like, I'm not Danish, I'm Swedish. And then I know the Danish word for poop, which is bay. And when everyone says, like, bay, and like, in Danish, that means poop. I cannot get it out of my mind. I'm used to it, though. Much like how I'm used to so many years of hearing people mispronounce my name. Besides, berating or correcting my client will be extremely impolite. And Marianne doesn't sound too bad when she says it. To be fair, it doesn't seem like she's late on purpose.
I see you're up, darling. You know, you could have woken me up as well.
She has her hand like she has her hand like this. Bay means watch. So you gonna bay me? Well, that kind of sounds a bit weird.
Were you showing Marianne around? Not that there's much to see. This place is so tiny compared to the mansion.
I'm more worried about the way she stares at me, judging. Such a look. It doesn't suit her pretty face at all. You're seeing Mrs. Wright reminds me too much of her. And maybe I'm starting to hear her again, see her again, when I shouldn't. I should have left it all behind, forgotten it. To think she will be looking at me that way. I can just feel my hand tremble.
Oh yes, just showing her around and getting to know each other. Isn't that right, Marianne?
Yes, of course.
Marianne.
And your
In the
butler
Marianne
was making breakfast a while ago. So if you want to get right to that...
Breakfast would be lovely.
There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it is too personal to share a meal in their home. It will be terrible rude to deny their invitation. Besides, the pancakes still look and smell heavenly. A bowl of clotted cream, fruit, syrup, yams and other spread are laid out next to them, making for a colorful arrangement. If this was a brunch with friends, I would have gladly helped myself to the whole lot. How can you be from Sweden? Your accent is so different. What kind of accent do I have? Like, I know I have a bit of accent. I don't know what kind of accent I have. Pancakes make fat, but okay. Well, pancakes can be delicious, but I don't eat too much pancakes. But as it is, I accept just a few pieces of pancakes and top it off with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables?
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs, and whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners.
I'm having a Russian accent.
Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it. First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, but at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past did not have us this involved.
Stop! What sort of a half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. Well, that's a weird accent I have. This isn't the time or place for it. However, instead, I used a brief pause to pull out the floor plans and browse with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
Where's the master bedroom? It's on the first floor. On the left. Quarters, master bedroom, balcony, hallway, or something else.
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts. Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde. Which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion. But do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear? We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things.
If you find bedroom, share it with Joy Killing.
Or maybe a children's room might be nice.
Mr. Right.
You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many.
Ooh.
I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway.
Mehmet Mert, welcome to stream, mate. How are you doing?
The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
And garage is over. Dining hall. Oh, that's beside the kitchen.
What for? You can park your cars outside.
Too much space. Very fine. How are you, my friends? I am quite good. Thank you so much for asking. I invite first floor bugs. It has a lot of space to. There's 2 people living in all that space. I mean, there's kitchen, dining room, a hall, gallery, hall, quarters, ballroom, foyer, parlor, restrooms, music room, basement, hall, quarters, massive bedroom, hallway, conference room, 2 balconies, 2 attic rooms, theater, hallway, bedroom, study room.
What about that room? Right there, in the northeast corner.
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
Oh, that is perfect! Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxborn to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again.
Oh, ho. Where's the ghost girl who scared you so much? Well, she is hiding at the moment. She's hiding behind you. Scared of me.
Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too and I'd dance and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing the piano? I can't imagine it. But the earnest way in which Mr. Wright said, so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage? Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair.
She's the way.
You're getting your office,
That's why she's hiding.
And the stables.
She's the way.
That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
Well, shall I say, yes, it sounds fair, or we can compromise? That's the question. Wait. But that means she has Ebola, because you have Ebola. No, the way. She's the queen. Tom says... Yes, 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 yes. Stop spamming yes, you... I'm not gonna take yes. Because yes is spam yes. Maybe I can take we can compromise. Yes. Oh wow. I have a lot of relationship with Mrs. Wright. Mrs. Wright has her points, though I really didn't want to put into the spat of a husband and wife. But with the way the two were looking at me to settle this, I might as well to keep to the facts instead of giving opinion.
Mr. Wright, your plan isn't quite feasible from an architectural perspective. I'm not even sure how much we can do without closer inspection. Well, the one about the garage, at least. A walk-in closet is easy enough, but the garage?
See, a garage isn't architecturally feasible and it isn't going to be financially sound as well.
You stupid spammer. Spamming
We're
my
already
chat.
going to spend a lot on your other requests. You have several acres of land to park on already.
What? Did you calculate that on the fly? Financially sound my foot. You're probably just thinking up of imaginary numbers.
I have enough from architecture.
Might I remind you that I was a financial manager? I also looked over and approved the expenses of our other houses. I know the rough cost of these things by now, love. Masters in business administration, major in accounting. Sometimes I think you forget that I'm not as dumb as I act.
That catches my attention more than anything. It sounds more unbelievable than Whiskey playing the piano. She really didn't seem like the type.
Business administration and accounting? What university?
Luxborn U, of course. Go Lux Dragons, red and gold.
Excuse me, how about we move on this chit-chat ahead and do whatever else needs to be done sometime today? I had to cancel my appointments for this, you know.
What appointments? You drinking your ass off?
We might as well do a proper inspection with the designer this time, just to get it out of the way.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? Riding to the Ermengarde mansion in their rise is an awkward affair. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seats, but I am also worried about getting in the middle of another couple spat. With the tension thick in the air, I can feel them starting at each other anytime. Nobody is saying anything, up until Mr. Wright tells his wallet to turn the damn radio off. And for a moment, I think that he might start. But instead, he can stay quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the sufferable silence stays. I've never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out of the car and up to the mansion meant the end of an uncomfortable ride, and I can finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze in wonder every time I see it as well. Mrs. Wright moves towards the front door, keys in hand, and I can already hear Mr. Wright plotting.
Alright, Johans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about. We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scout the property and circle the perimeter on foot. You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass. Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
Someday, I like to ask how Johannes can even stand and tolerate the man. Why doesn't he just quit? Certainly, the pay can't be that good. Even I'm a bit put off by our mutual employer. And the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we already signed a contract. At least I'll only be working with them during the duration of the project. He works with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Someday I'd ask. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, he will be away from Mr. Wright, if only a little while. We're able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem, with the mistress not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda will be the grand staircase. It seems sturdy during the open house, but a close inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage, no wear and tear. Probably red threaded during renovation. Peeking under the grand carpet, the wood is probably installed with spark placed down to prevent cupping, The carpet itself could use a vacuum, though. Structural condition, from what I can see, without actually dismantling the thing, look to be in a good shape. The handrails and support posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
Alright then, Genki. See you later and have fun out there. The man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before his eye and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand again.
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead, at least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them. There is a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. If anyone were to see them like this, there's a little doubt that they loved each other.
Of course, and I want a garden full of them. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs, if anybody needs me.
That leaves Mr. Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere.
Somewhere?
I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name. He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Ooh. Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils at least. What's next? Am I gonna find that Mr. Wright saves kitten from the burning buildings?
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
When she goes without even asking if I need her here. I'm left standing to stare at the walls. Really? I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of an interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to do this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that have both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. Since I'm already here, I'll roam around the dining hall to check things off my punch list, if you will. But when it's time to move on, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he will be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with Whiskey. I have to look through the palace eventually, sure, but on the hand I had, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. I checked the first floor. I already seen enough of the floor during the open house. Of course, I know that is just a convenient excuse. I don't want to be in the same room as Whiskey anytime soon. So I might as well go upstairs first. The banister on the grand staircase landing are solid and a proper height. Any lower and there will be trouble. So the banisters. There are small catch on the carpet though. But as long as nobody tries to run down the stairs until it gets fixed, things should be alright. And the stained glass? Art. Restored, no doubt the image of the last Lady and Lord of Ermengarde. Or it was supposed to be, until Lady Charlotte's fiancé was brutally murdered. By a witch of all things. From what I read, you think that historians of this place will be a lot more scrutinizing, filtering out stuff like that. I'm amazed they bothered with it, instead of replacing it with some generic cookie-cutter design. This entire piece alone will have been cost roughly 500, even millions pounds. Lady Charlotte Emergard and her beloved. Looking at the mosaic, it's not too far off a stretch of imagination to believe that this depicted image could be Mr. and Mrs. Wright. You can easily assume as such, if one doesn't know the history of the mansion. Really, a place like this should be protected by the government as a landmark. But what can I do about it? Walking the east wing, I try to get into the theater, but it's met with an obstacle. The obstacle that is locked doors. 2 doors, and both of them are locked. I'd be frustrated, would be, if I already hadn't snuck off while the Wrights were having their little business meeting with Miss Cooper before taking a peek. With what Mr. Wright wanted, we have to install a powerful projector, the type they use in cinemas, and a projection screen. The seat will have been to be re-upholstered if they are to be any comfortable, and the walls will have to be covered in dark material, paint, wallpaper, or installed wall-to-wall carpeting. Really, of all the rooms I could be jealous of, it's this one. I could just picture myself in there, watching old kung fu flicks on a weekend-long marathon. Makes me wonder what kind of movies Mr. Wright will like. Rom-coms, perhaps? Her husband, on the other hand, I'd rather not think about it. In the middle of my notation and planning, I don't even realize that I'm not alone. It's alarm caught standing in front of the locked door, like a fool.
Were you meaning to go in there? I'm afraid we won't be able to open it up today.
Oh well, I wanted to, but it's fine. I can still survey the rest of the place.
Apologies, but the key was missing when they were handed over. They told us that they'd get right back to us with it.
What? But aren't they supposed to hand over all the keys once property changes hands? That can be grounds to file a complaint.
They were already kind enough to let us move in so early. There's no need to raise a fuss about it. Worst comes to worst, we can call for a locksmith.
The air is heavy and somber when she grows quiet and glances out the window. Out towards the vast expanse that surrounded what will be their house, their home. Then she looks back at me with a sigh and bitter smile.
Flowers. Yellow flowers. Daffodils, dandelions, and sunflowers and the sort all up front. Just a whole garden of them. They'll make the house look lovely, won't they?
Of course. A garden is a wonderful addition to any home.
As I say this, her eyes roam over me, scrutinizing and thoughtful. Have to hold back the shiver that threatens to run down my spine at being inspected so closely.
Yes, it must be nice.
We're still talking about the gardens, yes?
I mean not having to worry about what another person thinks of you.
What do you mean by that?
She lifts her hand and points to her wedding ring before it falls listlessly to her side.
Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I didn't marry Luke. There'll be no fights about walk-in closets or silly helipads. I could do with this place as my heart desires until there's nothing but content. Then again, I wouldn't have bought this place if it wasn't a gift for him. I probably wouldn't even be in Luxbourne if it wasn't for him. Maybe I would have moved to London, Manchester, or Birmingham. I might have even left the country altogether. France, Germany, Spain, Canada, Sweden, even America. The possibilities would have been endless.
She said Sweden! I don't know what to say to that. What is there to say?
I'm sorry, I must sound so petty and ungrateful. I do love him. So very much, even if he can be a bit difficult at times.
And a cheating bastard.
Oh no, not at all. I'm just confused why you're telling me this, of all people.
Just a whim, I think. Just flights of fancy, that's all. Don't you ever think about one decision you've made in your life and wonder how much would change if you chose to do things differently?
I try not to dwell on the past, ma'am.
The keyword is try, of course. Thinking of the past brings up too many ghosts. Memories of her. And I do wonder what will change if I just said yes when she asked for me. Maybe she'd still be with me. I save it in either way.
You must have been quite the pair, Mrs. Wright.
Ooh.
Hannah Evans and Luke Wright taking Luxborn by storm. At least, that's what I've heard.
That gets a giggle out of her. And cannot be blamed if I like the way her eyes crinkled and how she sounded when she laughed.
Quite the celebrity couple, according to all the newspapers. But it wasn't always that way. Father certainly didn't approve of him at first. Why, he told me to stay away from him. Told me that I was too good for him. That's the usual overprotective dad speak, though. But of course you know that.
I don't. I was too busy keeping my grades up at boarding school to maintain my scholarship. Never mind the fact that I went on an all-girls boarding school, so father never had any reason to fuss over boys trying to date his little girl.
And what did you tell him? Considering you are Mrs. Wright now, you or the mister must have convinced him otherwise.
Yes, well, I told him I was my own woman and I could decide who was deserving of me or not on my own. Thank you very much. That never stopped him from making sure Luke couldn't get anywhere near me without an escort and a guard anyway. Though he certainly wasn't that overprotective when I was dating Jack.
Maybe your father considered this Jack a more capable man?
I doubt it. Jacqueline was nowhere close to being any sort of a role model when we were in college. She was rebellious, reckless, and immature. Everything I wasn't. But she was quite the charming, stunning woman, and I think that made her quite likable.
That takes me by surprise a lot more than the fact that Mr. Wright's father-in-law didn't like him. That much was to be expected. But this, I have nothing against them because of their thing. That's their thing, though this nonsense the priest will say otherwise. Although, wasn't she worried about the implication? The rumors that would have been arising about her dating another of the same sex? Especially with someone of her social status.
You look surprised, Marianne. The first thing anybody needs to know about me is that I go after what I want. And when it comes to who I love, it doesn't matter to me whether they're a man or a woman.
It's a nice enough sentiment. Still, the thought that this lovely lady before me had once been with another woman. I can feel my cheeks heat up a bit and I panic, thinking they might be red enough for Mr. Wright to know this. I can tell, so a coy smile creases her lips.
Legs, we called her, because of how often she was running about because of one thing or another. Climbing up walls and, what do they call it now? Parkour. And also because of her, well, legs.
And you went after her?
Not right away. When I first met her, I wanted nothing to do with her. She was so improper and uncouth. But I slowly realized that didn't mean she was a bad person. On the contrary, she did many a good thing and was always so nice to others. I found myself confused. I couldn't figure out if I wanted to be her or wanted to be with her. So I approached her, told her that I might have fancied her.
And your father didn't mind?
He must have thought it was my form of rebellion. But he never watched out for Jack as much as he watched out for Luke. If I didn't love my father so much, if he hadn't raised me right, I think I might have told him to bugger off. He's never been more attentive of me than when I started bringing home dates.
I'm sure he loved you very much.
She laughs once more, a glow about her. I know, she says with a small smile.
I suppose I've taken too much of your time with my silly stories. You still have much to inspect?
I still have most of this floor, and I'll want a quick run-through of the ground floor again later.
I shan't keep you from your work any longer then. Just call me if you need anything. I'd like to look around myself.
When she turns to leave, she glances back at me before disappearing into the foyer. I look out of the window from where she was standing, and I move on. It's nothing but my thoughts and her.
Finally, some peace and quiet.
Thought the old biddy would never leave.
It's utter madness, this hearing things. I reckon it's the stress, though. I don't know what exactly I'm stressed about. If meeting Mrs. Wright has really thrown me for a loop, I'd be worried. If I'm developing some sort of psychosis or disorder, well, I'd call a doctor. But hopefully it isn't that. Not right here, and not right now. I mean, it could just be a personal talking cricket, with a conscience, so to speak. And I'm only noticing now. So it is, if it is, it isn't very helpful. Pushing the dilemma of voices in my head aside, I go back to work. But I can barely make it a few steps before everything tilts and shifts. I don't really stumble, but it feels like I'm being thrown off my feet. The rest of the world just follow. Though my feet stay firmly on the ground, and even if I stay mostly upright, I feel like I've been heaved, put off balance. I have to close my eyes in hopes of wheeling the sudden sense of vertigo away, but when I open them... Well, I don't feel any less sick because of this sight that greets me. Blood. Blood everywhere. Blood dripped from the walls and the ceiling, pooling downwards and seeping into the curtains and the carpet. A wave of nausea, stronger than the last, hits along with the overpowering stench of blood and gore. I want to bolt. The rational part of my head is telling me to flee. And I would have gladly done so, as it asked, if I only didn't hear her.
In here, Marianne. Come on, I have something to show you.
I could have ignored it. Would have ignored it. If I only heard it in my head. But I swear that this time, it's coming from one of the rooms. Much further into the study. And I feel compelled to pay attention. I can't just turn around and leave. No, not when it's her. I don't even think as I follow the sound of her voice. Lorianne. Lovely Amanda Lorianne Lasser Fiona. She was my friend. The only one I had that same son. I was a scholar. The charity case. In a school for privileged and prestigious young girls. They looked down at me, if they cared to look at me or acknowledge my presence at all. All except her.
Oh, stop your crying. You know better than to listen to Maeve. Why, I ought to teach that butterface a lesson.
Wait, no, lass! I don't want you getting into trouble with the sisters again!
Relax. It's not like I'm going to stomp her and her lackey's arses flat like last time.
Come on, let's just go back to our dorm room. I don't want to be on my Tobler while you go get yourself punished.
You'll be fine. Gip's there with you.
Lorianne was there when I needed her, through my highs and lows. Having her as a friend made being in a strange school, away from my father, all the more tolerable. She saw this poor, helpless girl was kept down and shunned by everyone else. And being the kind soul that she was, she rescued me. So brave, so beautiful. She was something else.
I'll eat all the chocolates stashed away in your closet if you go.
I'll eat all the chocolate stashed away in the closet if you go. Sorry, that was a bit funny.
I can get Mar. Just don't go complaining to me if you get a tummy ache because of that.
Well, you don't want to get detention on a weekend, do you? It's a Friday. We can go to town and have some karaoke. And we can have a go at druids and demons again. You're not going to miss that just because of Maeve, are you?
Sometimes I question what I did to deserve a friend like her. In the darkest corner of my mind, where traitorous fraud lurked, I thought that she only felt sorry for me. Maybe she was just being a good Samaritan, offering a helping hand. And perhaps had been too selfish to return the favor.
You have a point. I'll just kick her arse on Monday then. That's not what I mean! I know what you mean, Em.
Wait, where are you going? You just told me you wouldn't cause trouble.
I still have something to do. Don't worry, it's not like I'm going to burn down her dorm room or something criminal like that. I'm just going to talk to her. Maybe I'll make it so that her room smells like a dog's air biscuit. That'll make it an excellent weekend. I'll see you in a bit, Marianne. Lots of tumblers.
Because when she told me that she loved me, I couldn't admit that. I felt the same way. Not to her, and not even to myself. It was wrong. I was taught that way. Husband and wife, one man and woman. Unclean, impure. I prayed for her and I, for our sins and for our salvation. I wanted to apologize for disregarding her feelings so callously. It must have been like a slap to the face for her. But life had gotten in the way. Exams, which were trivial in hindsight now, took top priority. I had to keep my grades up to keep my scholarship for my father. I told myself I would apologize to her when those were over. That I needed to focus first and not let anything distract me. Jon was in Susie. Welcome to stream, mate. How are you doing today? Are you doing alright? And by the way, was really Jon? Wait, that was wrong. Jon was in Susie, but wasn't Susie inside Jon? Well, that's a weird thing to say, though. It had been easy when she avoided me like the plague. She was upset, I get that. I thought I had the time to make things right, but...
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead.
I see.
Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
Her friend took suicide. Jumped out of the window and took suicide. A part of mine was inside her. She liked that. Did you go into her back garden as well? You know, show her spice up your sex life. Go into the back garden, if you know what I mean. They told us that it was an accident. That was the official statement. But I knew better. She was dead because of me.
Maeve had a hook and I kicked the bucket, didn't she? Ding dong, the witch is dead!
She had, so she didn't say which, Lorian.
But at least Maeve had the courage to admit how she felt about me.
I don't even know how long I've been stuck here in a trance. In the mirror, Lorian smiles at me. She's as beautiful as I remember her. But then... Oh... I feel bile rise up into my throat as a clean image rubs into how she looked like when they had found her dead, lying on the cold hard ground. Good Saint Tymphna, great wonderwork in every affliction of mind and body, help me. I'm seeing things, hearing things. Am I going completely insane? Looking everywhere but at her. I hope and pray that it's enough to will whatever this is to go away. It doesn't even immediately register in my head that I can just leave.
You, on the other hand, can't even look me in the eye.
This isn't real. You're not. You're dead.
I'm dead. Because of you. And you won't even look at me. Look at me.
My breathing quickens, and I can feel my heart being torn apart by her words.
I'm so sorry, Lorraine.
Look at me!
I can't take it because she's right. It was my fault. The least I can do is look what I have done. Lorian, broken and bleeding, looks at me with such hate-filled eyes. An unnatural smile stretches across her face, and I can only see malice in it. Oh. Yes. Then she lunged at the mirror ripples around her form, the glass parting like water surface for her. She grips my shoulder, and I can feel her nails dig deep, sharp, even through the fabric of my clothes.
There you are.
I wasn't ready for it!
You're coming with me.
And that's how you die. Into the mirror.
You love me.
A polygate spilled through my lips as tears cloud my vision. But I won't give in to this madness. What happened? With every bit of strength I have left, I struggle to get away from her. Fear grips and threatens to choke me. I endure, I escape, and without turning back, I stumble back out. In my panic, I don't even care to look where I'm going. With one hand on the wall to steady me, I just hobble as fast as I can away from the study. Away from that mirror. Freedom is bittersweet. I'm free from the madness, it seems. As running out into the hallway reveals to be in pristine condition. But it means I've turned my back on Lorian again. I have no plans of stopping. Not until I know I'm safe. And that, if that means walking back to Luxborn, as ridiculous as the idea is, then so be it. Someone suddenly grabs a hold of me, however. Fingers digging deep into my shoulder, my heart nearly stops. My body seizes, and I nearly scream.
Marianne, you look awful. I mean, not awful, but...
Justin Walker, welcome to stream, mate. How are you doing today?
Did something happen? Are you alright?
Mrs. Wright, I...
Oh. Oh. Oh! Oh. Alright. Without thinking, I sought comfort, seeing that it wasn't her. It's a sudden impulsive thing to do. Had I been in a better condition, I wouldn't even dared doing such a thing. I didn't know what else to do. Thought I knew I shouldn't. Her warmth, her scent, they grounded me. She is intoxicating.
Marianne, what's going on? Oh, you're shaking like a leaf.
What's up, bruh? What are you doing today, bruh? Tremors run through my body as soon as my mind realized I'm no longer in danger. I wanted to cry, scream about what I'd seen, but like a scared child, I couldn't control myself. My mind couldn't reconcile with what I've seen. I kinda like your accent. It's so soft, but it sounds inappropriate for horror. Thank you for that. I'm Swedish, so I don't know if my accent is good or bad, but I'll try my best. But thank you. That really means a lot to me. Nothing... Are you good, bro? Yes, bro. I'm really good. Really good. So it's inappropriate for horror, like... I shall just write it off as a figment of my imagination. Yet, I still feel her nails cutting into my skin.
Are you sick? Should I call for a doctor?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wright. Just feeling a little woozy and lightheaded is all.
Let's get you somewhere to sit down then. Come on, don't worry, I have you.
A lie. But a whole lot less complicated than telling her I was attacked by a dead girl. When the feeling of fear eases off, I feel nothing but shame for my actions. It sucks his boobs. Her boobs, you mean? Not his boobs. Her boobs. I quickly back away as I clear my throat and nod my thanks.
I think I've had enough looking around. If it's all right with you and Mr. Wright, I'll meet you outside.
If you're sure, I'll have the car started. Do you need assistance heading downstairs?
I'm all right, ma'am. Just go on ahead and I'll be right there.
It seems to placate her worries, though only for a brief second. Before she heads down, I don't miss the concerned glance she shoots my way, hidden quickly under another smile. No, make that funny kiddo-like voice. I won't begrudge her for it, Dad, would he? The look on her face must have been strange enough, sight on its own, even though I'm still reeling from whatever that was. Her voice still whispers in my ear. After all these years, she's still... that was not a good one. No, Marianne. Shaking my head at the thoughts, I drag a breath, then follow shortly after Mr. Wright. Whatever has happened in the past is long gone. Only memories now. Your voice is like Mickey Mouse. Oh! All those are things I can no longer bring back. Oh! It's already dark as we make our way out of the mansion. With no lights, we are only illuminated by the headlamps of the Wright car and the stars up above us. The sight of them helps me compose myself much more than several minutes of being alone did. The car's engine is running, yet the two still stand out of the lawn. Mrs. Wright is busy, eyes up to the stars, and Mr. Wright, arms crossed, has his eyes down on the ground. It is the crunch of the grass under my heels that brings their attention to me.
About time, what took you so long?
Oh, mean.
A minute longer and I'd think the house swallowed you all up.
Oh, hush, dear. I'm sure she has her reasons. Marianne doesn't seem the sort to idle.
Sorry, I was just checking on something important.
See, business is business and they take time, love. You should know that better than anyone. So, Marianne, what do you think? Are you the woman for the job? I know we already signed papers hiring you, but I want to be 100% sure that you are committed.
I glance back towards the mansion, knowing what I have seen there, or rather, who I thought I saw there, because there is just no way. Not to mention how I acted towards Mrs. Wright, for goodness sake. I should feel the slightest bit hesitant. Mrs. Wright, how are you? Justin Walker, keep your hands off her. It's not your lady. I was lucky. I've seen enough films to know what happens when a promiscuous woman enters a haunted house. This is my chance to turn it down, make excuses, say that I'm not up to the task, that I need to take care of my old sick father. Just pay the fine. This is probably outrageous for a contract like this, and let it go. I should turn it down. You know, you sound the same way I always imagined my potential older brother will talk if he existed. Feeling so warm there. Oh. Well, I don't know what to say to that, though. I have no comment to that. It's like, what can I say to that? But thank you again. I shall turn it down. But for some obstinate reason, I can't. In the same manner, I haven't let go of her, of the regret that has shadowed me since that day. Much I hate to admit it, even to myself, seeing her again, the mischievous glint in her eyes, the loose tendrils of her hair curled around her forehead. It's something I terribly missed, and now that it's here, almost within arm's reach, my father will tell me, sometimes you simply have to go through with it, consequences be damned. And well, I really don't have any logical reason to say no. At least not something a client like to write would want to hear from a professional designer. Listen to B. Geese. Feeling good. Justin, how are you? B. Geese. I heard about B. Geese, but not that in details though. Can I marry Mr. Wright? You cannot marry Mr. Wright. She already married.
It's certainly an interesting project. You can be sure I'm seeing it through the end.
Such dedication! Oh, I do love the determination.
You were always determined like that, weren't you?
Hearing her voice again sends a chill running down my back. I can't wait for this day to be over. From the mansion and through Anselm, I rode with them in silence. But as soon as we hit the city proper, I asked to be dropped off and bid them a good night. I thought it'd be best if I didn't stay too long in the confined spaces with either Mrs. or Mr. Wright. Both seems to cause me a serious trouble, and if the project had been any less interesting or grand, I would have dropped it without a second thought. Would have, shouldn't have, won't. I assured them that my place isn't that far off, and I have to fight off the urge to roll my eyes and groan when whiskey throws me a little smirk. Yes, this is a horror game. This is a horror game. As we've seen before, you maybe missed the ghost, but it's a horror game. But even in my own home, peace is elusive as is sleep. I lie awake, thinking of what I saw in that mansion, of who I saw. Staying Alive by Big E. I will listen to it after the stream, that I can promise. If I so much as hear a single whisper from her, if I so much see a wisp of her hair, I'm afraid I'll go mad. But none of that happens, and it makes me feel hollow. For 2 nights I had trouble sleeping, but it's only one morning, when the fatigue has already let me rest, that I'm reminded of what terrifies me so. October 26th, Wednesday. In my restless dreams, I see that mirror, the one in the study, and in it, I see her. I see them. Lorianne and Hannah. Why you're reading this is a story. The game itself is what choices I make in the game. Like, depending what choices I make, this is a game, but it's an interactive, what it is, a visual novel. It's a visual novel where you can make decision time to time again, which makes it in the game. It's interactive. You can choose what path to take. You can choose what choices or how the story will end. And that's what makes the game. And I like this story so far. It's intriguing, the story. Hannah and Lorianne.
Poor pathetic Marianne. Work, work, work. She'll work herself to death.
See? See, she doesn't listen. That's all she did. Look at what happened to me.
They talk among themselves with cruel smiles and venomous tongues. Or rather, to themselves, 2 heads, 1 body. A horrible mockery of these women, as if they were the one and the same. How do you say in Sweden? You laugh, you lose. Om du skrattar så förlorar du. That's how you say that in Sweden. Du skrattar så förlorar du. Om du skrattar så förlorar du. It's not a literal, it's not word by word translation. If I take it word by word translation is du skrattar, du förlorar. It's about the same. You can say du skrattar, du förlorar. But it's not correct grammar in it. So you have to say om du skrattar så förlorar du. To make it grammatically correct in a speaking way. But you means du. Laugh means skratta. And you do. And lose means förlorar. A horrible mockery of this movement. As if they were one and the same.
More's the pity. Life goes on and goes out, and she doesn't even see it.
Do you think she'll even realize when she's kicked the bucket herself?
When I say a person has a hard time telling when they are in a dream, it was true often enough. Even with the bizarre sight, even with the obvious implication that this isn't real, I can't help but feel distress.
Likely. Is that any way to live at all? She might as well be dead.
Cruel fate that she's alive and I'm... well...
So as they speak into each other's ear, tones low and hushed, I can still hear them as clear as day. Their whispers pervade their air, heavy and oppressive. They bury and dig into my head like tiny maggots, worming their way into my skull. It is only then that they take notice of my presence. Eyes turn towards me, and I can only feel small under their scrutiny. Caricature smiles etched on their faces, mimicking each other grotesquely.
Oh, Marianne! How long have you been standing there, dearie?
Come join us, Marianne. We won't bite. Unless you ask, that is.
Have you been looking at us? Spying? How scandalous. Such a naughty girl.
I'm sure you were just waiting for something lewd to happen, weren't you?
You know she will not admit it. She thinks it wrong. You've said it so yourself.
Yes. She thought me wrong, impure, abnormal, because I loved her.
My breath hitches, and I open my mouth to protest, but they stop me, screeching. The mirror that holds them cracks, lying spidering across its surface.
Do not lie! We know the gluttonous thoughts you try to deny, girl. All those desires you bury beneath that sickening guilt. You act the martyr when you turn the bed you lie in into your own hedonistic hell. You are nothing but a tainted soul with filth-stained flesh held together by falsehood and pride.
They look livid, and when it looks like they will lunge. Awake, feeling like the wind has been knocked out of me. With a groan, I squint and find a certain fluff ball sitting on my chest, looking as pleased as Punch. She is the overlady of the cast, queen of despair, the destruction of nice furniture. So I can't stay mad at Her Majesty. Because it felt like she did something good this time. I was having a nightmare, and I can't even remember what it was about. Trying to recall is a terrible pit in my stomach. Maybe it's probably better that I don't remember.
Good morning, Baruthiel. Who's the good kitty?
I'm a good kitty.
Are you hungry? Is that why you woke me up?
Maybe. A content purr comes from my sweet dear before she jumps off the bed and trots towards the kitchen. On the other hand, it takes me a bit more before I roll out of the bed and start my day. Mornings before work is always a quiet affair. Shower first, then a mug of coffee and a bowl of oats. Sometimes I do stretches, but I always check my work email. The Wrights will be moving in to the mansion today. I don't think the paperwork is officially done yet, but it isn't too far-fetched to think they were allowed to start their move despite that. Rich people like them will always find ways to get what they want, after all.
I'll be leaving you again today, Beth. So you behave and make sure not to shred up my new covers, okay? And don't worry, I didn't forget tomorrow is Black Cat Day, so I'll throw you a party. But only if you behave like a proper lady.
She barely gives me a glance as I say that, before going back to her own food. Cats. Still better than humans, most of the time. Too bad I have to work with humans. The place is already busy as soon as I get here. The foreman, one that I recommended to the rights for his work ethic, is early as usual. Already, he's instructing the men here and there with bigger loads. I have no chance to talk to him, as Mrs. Wright appears and greets me with a smile.
Mrs. Wright, I hope everything has been to your liking thus far.
Good morning, Marianne. It has been delightful and these men have been very helpful. Look at all this. It's so busy here. I'm getting tired just looking at them go.
No complications so far with the movers or the previous owners of the mansion, I hope?
If anything, the only one being problematic is Luke, if I'm to be honest. He can be such a diva, but I do like that about him.
She stops, looking up at the upper landing, where Mr. Wright comes through with two other movers, and a mirror from the study.
Oh, do be careful with that mirror. We wouldn't want anyone getting hurt because of broken glass. Why are you even having it carried around?
Oh? You did say you didn't want the mirror, and I keep getting distracted by it.
Well, I keep looking myself in the mirror, because I think I'm the most beautiful man in the world.
If I'm going to turn the study into my office, I'd rather not have it there. Where can we put this?
Well, you are not putting it in our room. Why don't you go, I don't know, put it in the wine cellar for now? We can figure out if we'll store it in the attic or somewhere else later, yes?
You heard her, boys. To the cellar it goes. Mush!
The movers bring down the mirror one step at a time. No matter how much the man tells them to hurry. An unsettling feeling grows in my stomach as I see our reflection in the bloody thing. And I look away, not wishing to risk anything. If I see Lorianne's image in the mirror now, I will know what I do. I don't have the luxury of privacy right now, and I'm not going to break down in front of all these people. As soon as I go into the kitchen, I realize I'm holding my breath. I let out a sigh of relief when I think nobody's looking, and go back to the task at hand. It will be a terrible busy day, and there's no need for me to even think of anything else. I'll talk with the foreman, fill him in which room is which. It seems I'm doomed to not get any significant work done without being interrupted when it comes to these particular clients. However...
Marianne, dear, have you had breakfast yet? Well, I do believe it would be considered brunch at this hour.
Oh yes, Mrs. Wright,
You must join me. Johans has already been breaking in the kitchen, as they say. I do not see the others settling down for a meal anytime soon. Someone might as well enjoy the food while it's hot. And that someone might as well be us.
I shall say no. I really must say no. But the way she smiles at me makes it difficult to do so. Look at how ridiculous I'm being. Acting like a silly nervous schoolgirl with a crush. It's just brunch, and who am I to say no to a client? It will be impolite to do so. It's not like I'm going to agree because of anything other than propriety. I'm not agreeing just because she's batting her pretty eyelashes at me.
if you insist.
It really isn't any of those. But it's something about her eyes, rather. She looks like she needs a good talk. A friend. And although I'm not supposed to be chummy with my client, there's no harm in pretending, right? Of course, I've been wrong on many occasions before. Maybe there's plenty of harm in pretending that I care. Because pretending I care might lead to actually caring. Being alone in the same room as Mrs. leaves me reeling as I find myself paying too much attention to her. It seems to borderline unhealthy how much I'm getting obsessed, even if it's just by looking. And it's the little, insignificant things that I notice, like the way she plays with her hair, or how she smooths down her dress.
Up, higher, come on now.
Whiskey's annoying voice in the other room helps pull me back to the ground. I'm just looking, aren't I? I know that someone like her wouldn't even look at someone like me. Still, there's some time to turn around this bad decision.
I'd really like to thank you for inviting me to breakfast, Mrs. Wright, but I already ate, so I should really go back to work.
Nonsense! You arrived so early, you must not have gotten a proper meal. Sit, sit! I'd situate us in the dining hall, but it is a mess right now.
Her concern is sweet, as is her smile. But I'm not here for the idle chit-chat, something I keep forgetting. We're both distracted when the food arrives, and it's enough for me to stay, at least until the meal is over. And I am having a call right now, which I cannot answer. There's a friend who calls me because he wants to buy the World of Warcraft expansion pack. Which I tell him, no, I'm not gonna buy that for you. You can buy it yourself. But he keeps calling, and keeps calling. No more, no less. Just to be polite. Thankfully, the conversation steering into topic I'm comfortable with, work. This go on for a bit, and I can't be more relieved. Most people don't understand, call me a workaholic, but I choose to work in a field I'm enthusiastic about. So what if my career is also my hobby?
But no, really, how have you liked it so far?
Oh, it has been wonderful, believe me. Everything is going smoothly too. It has been a long time since I've worked on something on this grand a scale. Nowadays, everyone is about condos and flats, living in the city where every room is an identical box. Believe me, this is very refreshing.
We lived in a condo before this, Marianne.
I didn't mean any insult.
It's fine, sweetie. Look at you, all frazzled. I was just pulling your leg. Luke wanted that penthouse when we got married, and you can thank him for purchasing this place as well.
Wait, does she own the house? I'm pretty sure. I have no business with it though. It's theirs to hash out. But apparently, the momentary confusion had been visible on my face.
Don't be fooled. I'm just the treasury. I wouldn't be able to make a purchase this grand without his seal of approval.
I see.
That's it. That's all you have to say.
Yes, what else is there to it? Without warning, this nice friendly chat devolved into something horrible. Something sad.
But I really don't know what to say, Mrs. Wright. We were talking of no topic in particular, and...
Luke. We were talking about Luke.
About him not eating breakfast with you?
About him treating me as if I were some treasury.
Despite my general dislike of the upper class, I sometimes feel pity for them. They may have all the money in the world. Their material things aren't the problem. But they don't even see what they become, where they ended up, or what they've done most of the time. They shut in by their own trap, forced to play along with society's expectation, and do anything to stay where they are, and keep what they have. A world where even people feel or are treated like they are mere possessions. When someone is at the top, the only way for them to go is down. I've worked with many Hannahs and Lukes and Whiskies, but I've never been one of them. I don't pretend to understand their world any deeper than that. I merely know what I've witnessed before. She looks lost, speechless, at how she betrays herself. My pity for the likes of her returns. Nothing but pity moves me as I speak before she can say anything else that might ruin or break her.
I won't speak a word, Mrs. Wright. Not only am I contractually obliged to, it would also go against my principles. This is no one else's business but your own, and it should be kept between the two of you. And whoever you wish to seek counsel from.
Please, Marianne. You have to understand. These sort of affairs, if anyone were to know this, they could just twist it and we'll be ruined. All I ask for is your silence on the matter.
The way she practical begs me to keep quiet about it is disheartening. I have no plans of speaking about anything I hear, especially if it is about their private affairs. But the way she looks at me, the way she expects some sort of fallout because of this, makes my heart clench.
Well, I'm keeping that information confidential as well.
It's not like I have any other choice, do I?
Thank you.
When the last of the food and drink is gone, the door opens as if on cue.
Madam, the photographer from Luxury Living is here.
This was a wonderful meal, Marianne. You're free to return to your duties. I must excuse myself.
It was my pleasure. And thank you for the food as well.
She stands up and leaves, and all I want to do is reassure her again, to prove that I'm someone she can trust. So when she looked back my way, I didn't fight the smile that finds its way on my face. I feel giddy, but the feeling dies down afterward as I sober up. Oh well, back to work. Soon enough, I find myself drawn to the kitchen, where the right butler has returned to. He's already claimed the space and telling movers to back off, and none dares to question his proclamation either.
My kitchen. No kinder allowed. Little men running around with knives especially. We do not want any accidents to happen now, do we? Good? Good.
I mean, it is a knife-wielding German standing there. I don't think anybody will be insane enough to refuse his request.
I hope I meet the age restriction. Or at least the height restriction. Because I'm asking to be let in here.
You are allowed inside, McCulloch, but not the little ones.
A shake of my head and a roll of my eyes is all I give. It's not like I'm going to be of any troubles to him. I just need to look around, get my bearings. The breakfast has been distracting enough. I don't even want to think about what we just talked about. I just need to get my head straight and get back to work. The movers work efficiently. Even when they are left alone, they do quick work of their responsibilities. The head foreman comes standing in the doorway to consult me on this or that, and I have to go help out every now and then. But they pretty much have everything up to standards. They skip lunch entirely, not even realizing when they do so. Nevertheless, all is well as the butler gets to the heating up the leftover bubble and squeak from breakfast, and makes a generous batch of fish and chips for them. Most likely simple in comparison to what he serves to the rights, but well done nonetheless.
That smells good. Want to wrap up some for me to go?
It's an idle observation more than anything. My thoughts, as they are, preoccupy me.
If there are any left. One can't go wrong with fish and chips. Everyone loves them. Even my husband. And he's American.
I really do hate getting up so close and personal with my clients. It's a distraction. It is obvious to me that I gotten my priorities all wrong, but I can't help to think about what I heard, what I learned about the Rice couple. These things have a way of creeping up on a person, thoughts, ideas, whether they are fact or fiction. They creep up and fester, crawl and rife in a way that twists. I hear giggling, delighted, and mocking. They creep up and... The sensation of fingers ghosting briefly on my arm, causing me to freeze and hiss. I half expect her to be there.
Whoa, no need to scream bloody murder. It's just me. Quiet down before you break glass.
But it's just whiskey.
Don't do that again. Ever.
I don't like being scared, though I don't believe in the likes of spooks. Being startled is not on top of the list of things Marianne like. Lucky for him, I have nothing within reach, or he will be gotten on Or he would have gotten on the friendly terms with something like a rolling pin.
What was with that reaction? Were you really scared? Has Johan's been telling you ghost stories? He just loves to scare people. Isn't that right, Brother Gurium?
The butler's expression is unreadable. I hardly see any emotion on his face to begin with since I started working for the Wrights, aside from vague amusement. There must have been something there though, judging from Mr. Wright's uncontent look. The expression on Mr. Wright's face is almost cruel. Oops, sorry. But neither of them spoke, even as Johannes leaves the room to serve the workers their late lunch.
So, now that we're alone, Marianne, what are you so jumpy for?
I was just thinking about all the urban legends the movers have been telling me about this place.
Don't tell me you believe in that tosh. They're nothing but tales made up to scare children. Timmy, Billy, don't you dare go up to that big mansion and get in trouble there. The ghosts are going to get you.
That's a boring way to look at it, but that's usually what it is anyway, no? Like I said, I was just thinking.
It would be a relief, actually, if those rumors of this place being haunted is true. That just means I'm not going bonkers. Hearing, let alone seeing, a dead person isn't exactly the symptoms of a healthy mind. Sure, it means there will be such things as ghouls and goblins, but at least I'd be sane. On the other hand, there will actually be a dead girl walking around.
If you could excuse the inane question, Mr. Wright, you haven't noticed anything weird here?
A simple enough question on the surface, yet I notice man stiffen as the question leaves my mouth. I wouldn't have noticed it if I wasn't watching his reaction intently, but in his eyes, I see something dangerous.
It depends on your definition of the word weird. Are we still on the topic of this place being haunted? Because no, things have not started to fly around and we have yet to require an exorcism. I don't think my head would like to do the whole 180-degree turn thing.
Well, maybe that, but no strange people?
Aside from my usually weird butler and all the weird men traipsing around touching my things? No, not really. Why do you ask? Have you noticed anyone strange while you were here? Because you must report it to Johans and he'll have security handle it. But these reports better not be about ghosts and things that go bump in the night. I don't want to waste manpower on the boogeyman or senseless witch hunts.
I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Wright. But no, it's nothing like that. I guess the mansion is just strange for me. It's a unique project.
No strange men or women lurking about then?
A dead teenager will technically qualify as strange. But yeah, the whole I see dead people thing isn't going to go well. Thing isn't going to go over well.
None that I know of. But I'll inform Johans immediately if something comes up.
I'm serious, Mint. You see anything, anyone suspicious, and you report it. Immediately.
I think that goes without saying.
The concern he have on the talk of security quickly gone, his arrogant, smug smirk returns, if a bit subdued. Whatever smarmy remark or innuendo you have at the ready never comes through, as voices from the dining hall ring out.
Is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly, for magazines, newspapers, and events. So you can't really call it a full-time job. It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least not all the time.
That will be magazine photographer, I presume? As always, Mr. Wright talks in such kind of shared fashion, no matter who she's talking with. It certainly puts people at ease around her. It sounds like it's working on the photographer too. Hearing them though, seems to put Mr. Wright in a sour mood. At least, if his small scowl is anything to go by. Is he jealous?
You're not gonna go out there and join Mrs. Wright? You're starting to look strange. If you want your picture taken so badly, I'm sure the photographer would oblige.
What is it that you want to do then?
Films. Documentaries mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
We need to get you away from the butler. You're starting to sound like him. No, I'm not joining Hana for an interior design magazine photo. What am I, a piece of furniture? Look, did a lot of you have anything else crucial to do today? Marianne.
There are still some little things to do. It isn't the end of the day yet.
Yes, but you're paid hourly, aren't you? Per day? Really, I don't care. You and the others can just take off for the day.
Why is it dismissing us early? All of a sudden? Is this about the possible security threat? Did my question get him all wary and paranoid that he will just send the workers and I away? I realize that threats are actually a concern to these rich and powerful people. I imagine whether anyone wants to or not, they get a few enemies here and there. But I'm sure the foreman and his workers can be trusted and are of no threat. But at least I trust the people I'm working with. I understand if he doesn't know them from a can of paint. Still, won't it be safer if there are people around who can watch their back?
You're the boss. My being paid by the day aside, I won't be held responsible for any significant delay caused by your decisions. I'll try to get around that, of course, but I'll just remind you of the fact.
Whatever, take forever with the house. I don't give a bloody damn. Don't you worry, you're still getting your money. Just sod off, go crawl around a pub and find yourself a good lay.
Paranoid or aggravated as he might be, this conversation certainly didn't have to warrant that sort of remark. No, it doesn't.
Maybe I will.
Walking out of the kitchen, I just accept the fact that whatever he says will go while under his roof. Mrs. Wright and the photographer are still far too busy in a conversation to notice me, even as I make my way through the dining hall. Besides, I didn't want to ruin their fun.
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like Blue Foncé very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Going to the foyer has me stumble upon the family butler once more, who raises a brow at my presence.
And where are you off to in a hurry, Miss McCulloch? The foreman is looking for you.
The Bratwurst wants us off the clock. He's dismissing us early because of... Oh, I don't know. He just wants us out of here.
I'll go and call a cab for you then. It would be for the best that you leave when he asks you to.
I don't doubt it. My ride back to the city doesn't take too long to get there. Granted, there were some difficulties at first, because the driver didn't know where the Ermengarde mansion is. He tried to have us hand over GPS coordinates from our smartphones, or some other techno-babble I didn't care about, and the butler didn't understand. But as soon as we told him that it's the haunted mansion over the Anselm village, he just knew the place, and finally headed over, albeit with some hesitation. All the way back to the city, the driver keeps complaining about the place giving him the willies. He gives me the willies too. I would have loved to snap at him, but as soon as the thought occurs to me, another blossom in the forefront of my mind. One that somehow bothered me greatly, more than my expiration of a whiskey in this project, or wanting all of it to stop. There has been no Lorraine whispering or in my ears today. Worse, I find myself searching for it. Searching for her. Damn you, Urithi! Loose ends. Fucking bloody loose ends everywhere. I thought I already moved past this years ago. And it does nothing to help me curb my frustration. If anything, it only ensures that I want a stiff drink. And where else do I go to drink? Tuesday are for karaoke, and Wednesday, improve. Usually, it's these four guys who did hilarious games The one with the Irish drinking songs are always the crowd's favorite. Though I love a good laugh, and stand-up comedy isn't my thing, and without Cameron or Haruna or any other distraction, I end up drinking a lot more this time. When there are several bottles of beer in me, I get really, really embarrassing.
Hey! G! Psst! G, come over here. I need you for something.
It's a good thing that the bartender is a nice fellow. I probably have been kicked out of the places by now, or worse. If push comes to shove, all he will do is give me an easy smile and shake his head, even when he's attending to other customer. Just like now. Anki, welcome back to the stream, mate. How are you doing?
Give me a moment, will ya? I gotta go check on her.
He's some Asian guy. And I'm pretty sure I've seen him here before a couple of times. Although he never talks to anyone else except Guy. The girls used to be all over him too, but he always turned them away.
I'll be here. You go do that before she falls over.
Asian yo.
All right. What is it? Do you need someone to help you get home?
Bartender, pour the wine.
Yeah, just watch some Overwatch League.
I think that's enough alcohol for you, little missy. I'm cutting you off.
A whine comes from the back of my throat as he pulls my bottle away. I have no hope of getting them back once they're behind the counter. Even in my drunken mind, I don't dare hop over it for them. Because of what little sense I left, knows I'd sooner take a floor dive than succeed in wrestling a bottle from a sober man. But that doesn't stop me from trying to reach out with my arms like a stupid idiot anyway. He smiles and shakes his head, just like I know he would, before going back to the other guy.
Right now, where were we? How you holding up, boy?
With no drink and no one to really chat with, I would have gone home or gone to sleep on the bar right there and then. But I'm not ready to stand up and try to trek back home just yet.
Same old. I'm still on the Luxborn firm case.
Those blokes they talk about being in dark suits, whisking people into the night or some shit and all that. Didn't the media call it some ridiculous name in the morning news?
What is it this time? Wait, don't answer that. They've called it a lot of things. As long as people don't start running around claiming they're the Illuminati. So, what have you got for me this time, G? Anything good?
Slow down there. You haven't even told me what sort of dealing dosh we got. Who are you looking into this time?
Their talk will have interested me, will have kept my attention, if I gave a damn. But in my current state, I barely give 2 fucks about the things going on around me. All these words are just buzzing, barely surfacing from the sea of sounds that is the pub. And it would have stayed that way, perhaps even drowned, if I didn't hear his name.
Luke Wright. You know the guy.
Damn it.
And don't pretend like you don't, G. It takes a special kind of ignorant not to know who he is.
That smug blonde who likes throwing round his money. He was just here a few days ago, as a matter of fact. Great tipper, if you think him just dumping a wad of cash on the counter after having too much whiskey counts as tipping. Why are you asking? He dirty?
You have no idea, G. He's probably the worst sort you can imagine.
Luke fucking Wright. Fucking whiskey. Even without him around, I'm still hearing about the guy. What the absolute fuck? Illuminati confirmed? Despite this, I find myself getting up and sauntering over to join them before I pipe up.
Is this smart talk about Luke fucking Wright I'm hearing, eh?
Private conversation here, lady.
There's only amusement on Guy's face. The Asian guy? He started to look ticked off as hell.
Don't worry, Holmes. She's clean. And she might be able to help you with your, predicament.
Course. A drunk's just stumbled through here with what I need. Get real, G. No offense, lady, but you're smashed.
I know, right? Nothing beats being drunk after a hard day's work. Especially when you're working for Mr. Luke Wright.
So she works for the guy? Doesn't that make her, I don't know, suspect?
See, have a little faith in me, why don't ya? I don't have much, and you might as well have something to go off. You're the one who was so desperate to come running to me for business.
Yoo-hoo! Still right here, fellas. 5'11", can't miss me. Unlike Shorty over here. What's with that mad look? You want to dance, boy? You don't look like you can bust a groove. Maybe a leg, but with that fancy coat of yours.
To add insult to injury, I moved directly behind him and used the top of his head as an armrest. But when she shakes me off, I plop into the seat right next to him.
Don't try me. You can hardly stay on your feet. We don't want to ruin your fancy coat, do we?
Ah, children, the both of ya. But you're still standing after all that, are ya? Matt, you see this giantess? She's a legendary regular here. Been drinking like there's no tomorrow. I'm a bit jealous. Can't do that anymore or my liver will give out on me. Good with the mic, too. Don't see you much recently, but I guess you're always busy, aren't you? You're some fancy designer or something, if I remember correctly.
Wait, I know you. You were at the open house for the mansion.
Yeah, that's right. Marianne McCulloch. I'm a famous interior designer extraordinaire. Ooh, that rhymes. Anyway, you guys were talking about that weenie Luke Wright, right?
Or something. Can't really talk about it. I don't even know if I can trust you, even if G said you're clean. But anything would be of help.
Well, I don't gossip about my clients, if that's all there is to this.
You wanted to gossip about him a few minutes ago, Marianne.
And that was the beer talking, not Marianne.
You won't mind if we ask the beer a few questions then?
Damn it.
Maybe. Depends on who's asking and what they're asking. But seriously, that guy is abso-fucking-lutely frustrating. One moment, he's an absolute dickhead. And then, he's acting like an actual decent human being the next. I just can't figure him out. I can't imagine how that pretty wife of his can put up with him. If I were her, I'd dump his flat arse straight up.
Nemo AK! Welcome to stream, mate! How are you doing? And yeah, a long time no see. What have you been up to? And I'm not just saying that because I think Hannah's pretty or anything. Luke is a catch too. They both are. But I really cannot, for the love of all things holy, see how they can even work out together.
So, Luke Wright, have you noticed anything strange about him while you were working with him? Anything peculiar? Of note?
You're the one being peachy right about now, Holmes. But nah, nothing that comes to mind off the top of my head. He's just like most rich, smarmy arseholes and then some.
I giggle bubbles up and I press my cheek against the cool countertop with my eyes shut, tight. Just pick cars. Eventually cracking one eye open, in case they just thought I fell asleep. I grin at Holmes.
So, Holmes, I'm guessing you're some private detective or something.
I'm fine. I am on Twitch now. I have a stopping stream on YouTube. Only Twitch. Oh. Why not both to Twitch and YouTube? Because I stream both to Twitch and I stream to YouTube as well at the same time.
Is it Hannah? Did she pay you to look if he's been cheating or some such?
Hannah's the wife, right? What about her? How is she?
How is she or how is she? Well and good. Definitely the nicer of the two and sexiest sin to boot. Not a private detective then. Are you from one of them tabloids wanting to know if the Luke Wright doesn't know how to put his pants on right? Pants. I'd take the pants off of...
Ah, here we go. Slipping. I haven't been this drunk in such a long time. It's a miracle I've been coherent for as long as I've been right now.
I'm asking you if you've noticed any odd behavior from her.
Odd behavior? You what? I wonder how she'd be drunk. I can just imagine her like the giggly sort.
Ah, so hard to have two shots, you know? Have a good night, dude. Well, it's not that hard when people are calm or just not spamming the chat. But otherwise, I'm being good. And good night. Sleep well, Nemo AK. And have a good night's sleep. And stay awesome, alright?
What do you think?
These are serious questions, Marianne. Lives might just be at stake here.
What do you expect? She's smashed.
Why am I even doing this? This is getting me nowhere, G. She's not a reliable source. The chief, let alone the courts, aren't going to take the word of a drunk. This'll be dismissed, and I might be in trouble if they try to argue that I coerced a testimony out of her. This is a fucking train wreck.
You're a fucking train wreck now, if you ask me. Maybe it's about time you apply the brakes and stop for a bit.
The wave of despair that comes over the both of them are pillable. If feelings had the taste, it'd be bitterer than the beer I'm full of. And it gets me thinking. Though thinking doesn't get me far with much shite in my system.
You know that's not an option. Thanks for being patient, McCullough. Good luck with your work on that mansion.
Speaking of that mansion, there's something going on in that place. Something. As och day! No wonder Mr. Right likes it so much. It's as fishy as he is. Rotten bloke. Maybe that Santos girl is really onto something, eh? Suspicious shite, I'm telling ya. Explains why she's so reluctant.
What do you mean that Santos girl is onto something?
Before I get another word out, there's hand on my shoulders, and everything starts to spin. I quickly slap his hands away, the best I can, and send him the fullest of look I can muster.
Take your hands off me, pipsqueak. I'm not a lady who's shaken or stirred unless you want me up-chucking on your pretty hair. But it's just like I said. Are you sure you aren't brain damaged or deaf? Santos girl from VRC showed us this creepy letter. You know, just like those spam stuff you get in your emails. And we thought it was some joke or that the girl was just a bit too green to handle a big sale like that. You should have seen the look on their faces when they saw it. Whiskey, that's Luke fucking right, you get me? And the missus didn't look too happy either. I should have taken a picture and posted it everywhere. When rich snobs give you that face, no wonder the Santos girl went all mental on us. Working with them does that, you know? I think I'm about to. I'm not mental yet, am I? Anyway, just like I said, in that man... Hey, you okay? Holmes? You're looking a bit shaky yourself there.
And he really is pale. Paler than before, at least. I can see the gears turning in his head on overtime. Suddenly he shoves a card in my hand. A detective inspector, see the ID. On this, his name Ashton Frey and his number. But he has a second thought as he grabs it from me, slips into my pocket.
You're cute, pretty boy. But I prefer blondies.
Well, you're not exactly my type either, lady. But listen to me. If something comes up, don't do anything rash. If you think you're in danger or if you see anything suspicious, call me and the authorities as soon as possible. You understand me? That's 99...
I know what the damn emergency number is.
Right, 999. Good. Anyway, I have to run. See you, G.
The guy is quick on his feet, already up and at them, as soon as the numbers leave his lips. Watching him as he maneuvers through the crowd of the other pubgoers is enough to tire me out. Fast as he can, he's at the door and throws us a smile, and that's all we get before he's gone. Just like that.
Boy, what about your drink, boy? I'll go put it on your tab then.
Holmes boy always like that, G?
Pretty much. But what about you? I suppose I'll put your drinks on your tab too. Don't want you to spill your wallets when you look like you're close to spilling yourself.
Yeah, and if it's fine by you, I think I'll go take a bit of a cat nap here. Just for a sec or two.
Go right ahead. I'll wake you when I close up shop.
Mumbling a sleepy thanks, I doze off on the spot, face pressed on the counter. Already, I dread the pain I'll have for sleeping in such position. But when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Oh, Marianne! How long have you been standing there, dearie?
Come join us, Marianne. We won't bite. Unless you ask, that is.
Not that I can get much sleep to begin with. Do people ever have the feeling that they are working on something they really enjoy, but still, it eventually tires them out? Because honestly, I've been feeling like this.
You have certainly exceeded expectations, Marianne. Everything looks so marvelous, and in such a short time, too.
So, moments like these makes all the hard work worth it. Definitely.
Well, I can't take all the credit. People have certainly been enthusiastic about the idea of working on the right mansion. There won't be any more problems unless Mr. Wright has any more objections about the second bedroom.
Oh, no. We proceed with that room as planned. I already agreed to him having his greenhouse and his vineyard and his stables. He may as well let me have this one thing.
We're only about halfway done, but the honest certification on a client's face is enough for me to push through. Let's face it, in between my expiration and Mr. Wright's antics and her, I've been burning the candles at both ends. I can't even close my eyes without seeing a dead girl's face. Dead girl, dead. She's dead. I had to keep reminding myself that. Burying my feelings as deep as I buried her body, 6 feet under. I shouldn't waste so much time on someone who's supposed to be gone. I've wasted so many years thinking about her already. There should be no need to bother myself with the dead, and I should be bothering myself with the living. The bad and living are usually as complicated, if not more, than the ghosts of the past.
But don't you have a party?
Yes. But Luke's just being a sweetie, you see. That friend he's visiting, he's having marital problems and he's just trying to cheer him up.
It's even more complicated than the living in question. It's a pair of rich and famous socialites way past their honeymoon phase. I've been someone roped into being a relationship counselor.
They've been married for a long time and they've hit a... how do they say it? A rough patch. His wife has a drinking problem and can be very neglectful. The poor thing really does his best to be a good husband, but it's never enough for her. Sometimes I think it's the years. Maybe it's been so long that they've lost that romantic spark. What do you think?
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
Suppose it is. What would you tell me?
Then, I tell you it's none of my business. I tell you that I don't want to meddle. But, if the troubled husband with the neglectful wife asked me for my honest opinion, I'd say that he shouldn't base his happiness and his self-worth on someone else. Maybe he should try being independent for a while. See what it's like when he isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for himself. Everyone's supposed to be their own man or woman, right? A bit of breathing room never hurt anyone. We shouldn't let our fear control our lives.
Why she thinks a single woman like me will be the best source of relationship advice is beyond me. Still, I talk and answer the best of my abilities. Without realizing it, I'm already pouring of the part of me that I had thought were long gone. I like to believe my words will be some help to Mrs. Wright. If I'm honest though, they are of some help to me. Like some weight have been taken off my shoulders. Lorianne.
I really should handle what's left of the work.
You won't be attending the party? Oh, you really must, Marianne.
The weight of what happened to her hasn't left me yet, did it? Maybe.
I'll try to stay in chat. Maybe grab a few bites and a drink, but I can't be around for the entirety of the event. My apologies. Busy, busy, busy.
You must stay a while. I'd love for you to meet some of my friends, and they're ever so excited to meet you. You need to say hello to the Lees, at least. If it wasn't for them, I'd never even heard of you.
Maybe it's about time I changed that.
We'll see. So, if I can be excused?
Certainly. You'll have to excuse me as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive. Because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
So I shouldn't dwell on the dead. I shouldn't just casually forget about them too. Saying that I have work left to do is an easy enough excuse to make. I know how other people see me. They see someone so obsessed with their craft that she will easily miss things like a party for it. Outside the parlor, people hurry about here and there in preparation for the rites, grand housewarming party. None spare me a glance as I slip past them, each working on their appointed roles and not daring to slack off while they work with what is probably the most powerful couple in Luxborn. I make it into the kitchen with ease, the wine cellar being my final destination. When there is a great task ever simple? Probably never. And this is a great task, isn't it? My greatest one yet, that is worthy of being called a quest. I'm not acting as Marianne McCullough, the professional interior designer, when I choose to lie about being too busy for a party. I am Marianne McCullough, a lawful neutral cleric with 9 points in wisdom and 8 in charisma. Just thinking of it like that makes it a bit cheesy. But it helps with the fear. It helps overcome the insane thought that I am actively seeking out something that has been plaguing me for years. I might face my worst nightmare, or I might see nothing and find myself imagined Grand's quest fall flat. And who would have thought that the gatekeeper to my final quest will be someone I thought would be a valuable ally?
Schnell! Hurry up, you snails! We are on a deadline and you are wasting my time!
The butler comes from the cellar and into the kitchen, tailed by a couple of other people, who I assume are most likely chefs and bartenders. He raises a brow, seeing me just standing there by the hatch, by the trap door. It almost looks like he's going to throw me out for being in the kitchen without permission. But then, he motioned for the others to disperse and familiarize themselves with their surrounding. Meanwhile, he continues to stand there, preventing entry into the darkness beyond.
What are you doing here, Fraulein? This is not the place for guests or in an architect right now. I request you leave.
I was just looking around for any last-minute things, yes?
Yes, you have been doing that a lot. Looking around, snooping about. Now is not the time for such things. If you're not careful, people might think you are up to something.
The look he gives me as he says this is almost chilling. If life was a game book, he'd probably be the true neutral warlock guarding the treasure room. A difficult opponent to beat, with 9 points in wisdom and 8 in dexterity.
Well, I'm not done yet. I actually need to go into the wine cellar. Just need a quick go at the place. So just don't mind me. I'll be out of your hair soon enough.
Go outside, enjoy the party. Bask in the praise and adulation they will no doubt shower you with when the madam speaks highly of you. Surely you've had enough of this stuffy old kitchen by now. You do not want to cause trouble. Both the Bratwurst and Hannah want this to be perfect. It would be a disservice and disrespect to toe out of line and risk it being anything otherwise. And more importantly, I will be blamed for any failure that happens tonight.
His intervention almost turned me away. Maybe this is a sign. I'm not meant to seek Lorraine out, but...
Please, it's really important.
15 minutes. 9, 10 minutes. Any longer and I'll pull you out of there myself. The bratwurst will be furious if he thinks anyone is touching his precious vine without his permission.
Thank you. This seriously means a lot.
He steps aside, begrudgingly. At this point, it looks like there's no turning back. The cellar greets me ominously as I descend. The space feels smaller, with a lot more bottles lining the wall compared to before. And knowing that it might be waiting for me here makes things worse. The mirror that had been moved from the study is my goal. I did not return to it after my initial discovery, but the thought of Lorraine, how much I want to see her again, even if it's just for one more time, keeps coming back to my mind. As I walk through the cellar, I have to stop when I feel something crunch beneath my feet. Whatever few bottles were left behind here are now nothing but glass under my heels. Perhaps dropped one of the many chefs and bartenders the butler had escorted through here before. And it made the downright mess with slick pooling from the remnants of a good drink. With how dark the place is, a person is dark enough to imagination can easily mistake it for blood. I can't help but to think it is, despite the easy, logical explanation that had come to my mind, only because of what I'm about to do. It's merely a momentary distraction as I continue to the end of the cellar where the mirror stands. Propped out on the far wall, it gleams innocently while pretending to be a simple and ordinary mirror. How morbid to think this thing can show a person their deepest, most desperate desires, and then twist it to an image so dark. That's what I've been seeing that day. Though I heard Lorraine many times, I only seen her here within its frame. I wonder if people had discovered it before. How many were wasted away in front of it, enamored, and how many were frightened away by what they saw? Yet, as I stand here before it now, nothing. I can barely see my own reflection in this darkness.
How does this even work? Mirror, mirror on the wall?
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
Something? Anything?
Nothing. Touching its surface doesn't make it magical activate or anything like that. It's no sudden surge of power, and I'm not suddenly granted sight. It states what it is. A mirror. What was Lorraine's appearance in the mirror all some sort of fever dream? Am I really that burdened with guilt and despair that my mind will eat itself in my stress and have me hallucinate such things? Either way, just going here and some crazy obsession for a girl long gone must warrant me a trip to a doctor. Already, I feel ill. After a few more minutes, in the hopes that something will change, I turn around to leave. I can just go back upstairs like nothing ever happened. Perhaps drop by the party for some horse de vore, then go home and collect myself. Besides, Mrs. Wright is expecting me and I'm...
Going to leave me again then, are you?
I stop in my tracks, but I don't turn back. As much as it pains me, I don't look back. If I'm just hearing her again, desperately delusional, and I look back to see nothing, I don't want to give myself false hope. But when I feel fingers around my wrist pulled at me, I look back in shock. My third thought is, how in God's name is this possible? And the second thought is Lorraine. Her hands are cold.
Are you that mad at me that you're just going to ignore me, Marianne?
I don't know what to say. I can only stare at her in wonder. She stands there in the mirror, only with her arm extended outwards for my sake. I look at the hand still holding my wrist. When she sees me looking at it, she moves it so that my hands are intertwined, fingers weaved together. Seeing her there and feeling her touch meant I'm not crazy. Though however impossible and unexplainable this is all to me right now. It just takes my breath away. Pulling her out from there is tempting. I can imagine doing so with ease. But we can be together again, Lorraine and Marianne, like nothing had ever happened. But that will be all a great big lie, wouldn't it?
What? Pack out your tongue? Don't just look at me like that. Say something.
Even if this thing were some magic portal that could bring back the dead, that doesn't erase anything. Just looking at her, still a young teenager, while I'm already a grown woman, serves no other reason than to break the illusion that blinds me. I've seen her twice now, always behind the mirror. If this is real, if this isn't some delusion, then why can she only exist behind the glass?
You have no idea how happy I am to see you. It's been so long.
You don't look happy.
I really am happy, but at the same time, I can't help but think about what happened to you.
And what does that mean? What are you saying?
She gives me this peculiar look, and before my eyes, she moves to step out of the mirror. In turn, I wrench my hand from her and take a step back, almost as if I'm afraid.
I don't know how this is possible, but whatever this is, it isn't real. You can't be real.
I'm right here, aren't I? What other proof do you need?
No, I see you. I hear you. I feel you. But even with all that, you can't be real. You just can't. I saw your body. I helped bury you. You're dead.
A deep hurt crosses her face, and just breaks my heart into two. Seeing her wear that expression.
Burying me wasn't the only thing you did. Don't you dare lie. But I'm going to be the bigger woman, aren't I? Let bygones be bygones. I'll forgive you. As long as you stay with me, Marianne. That's why you came down here, right? To find me?
That was the plan. I came down here looking for her, for closure. But this isn't just closure. This is something else entirely. I didn't think I would be forced to make such a choice. I need to move on. There's no other choice. Closure. That's all I came here for. Whatever this is, it might as well be just a devil's trick. And I might as well make some use of it, right? I said nothing at first, for fear of angering whatever phantom this is. I take Glorian's hand and bring it to my lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. She takes it as some sort of invitation to pull me along. I have to step back into the mirror until only her arm is extended again.
I should have been more honest back then, both to you and myself. I know it's too late. I'm sorry. But
the thought of being with the dead did not agree with me,
I can't
one bit.
stay with you.
So what? You're going to leave me for some old trophy wife? That's it, isn't it? You're going to leave poor Amy Lorraine and go after the next rich, pretty blonde that you see.
This is a mistake.
All these years, guilt has been my driving force. I felt so guilty for what I did, what I didn't do.
She thinks it can guilt me into being complacent, but she realizes otherwise as I pull my hand away from her. And going by the look of anger on her face, an anger that runs cold, she did not like the fact that I'm not some puppet on a string. Had she chosen her words carefully, I would have accepted whatever punishment Lorraine chooses to give me. Guilt had ran my life, and I might have very well ended it, because I deserved it.
But what I did to me. The blood in my hands is mine, not yours.
Whoever or whatever this shadow is, my gut tells me she's not Lorraine. Yet, I keep talking as if she is.
I broke your heart, not your neck.
God damn it. There, my back.
Don't you dare deny it! It was your fault!
Because I loved you more than I dared to admit? Yes, that was my fault. but I never meant to hurt you like that.
Despite my words, no matter how sincere they are, she appears angry, enraged in fact. It's been years since I last saw that face, and even now, the memory of it still etched in deeply into my mind. The hurt, the tears, and the hate spilling from her eyes that day, the moment I rejected her. Rejected myself for who I am. And she definitely will hate what I'm about to do next. To my left, a wine rack. And from there, I take a bottle and pray to all the saints I can remember. For all my sins. For every hurtful words I uttered. For what I've driven her to do that day. What I've forced her into.
What are you doing?
And I do it without thinking twice. Quickly, before I can hesitate, I grab a bottle, send it straight towards the mirror. Shards of the bottle and the mirror are sent flying everywhere, as Lorraine screams echo in the cellar. Bitter, searing, like every wound accusation she hurled at me. They never left me, I doubt they ever will. But with this, I can move away from them, from her. Live my life as I should, free from the burden. Her burden. Because the Lorraine I know, the real one, the person I loved will never want me carrying this to my death. As the screaming dies down, I can't help to mutter weakly.
It's done. It's done.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me who the beautiful are.
Oh, Lorraine. Forgive me, Lorraine.
I take some time to compose myself, breathing in and out, stamping down on the tremors still racking my hands, straightening out my jacket and fixing my hair. All a weak attempt at returning myself to someone resembling my normal self. This will probably be easier to do so with a mirror, but likely won't be able to stand looking at one for a long time.
Well now, I should probably go back up there. Party to attend, rich socialites to do business with, and food to eat. Mrs. Wright will be happy if I make some time for it anyway.
Yet, one last time, to the shattered glass beneath my feet.
I'm sorry, Lorraine. May you see God's light on the path.
Turning around to leave, and for the good this time, the uneasy smile on my face falls as I see Lorraine whole and well.
Come on, Mac. You really didn't think it would be that easy, did you? You get bonus points for trying, but you should know innate charisma is not enough to turn undead.
She advances towards me, backs me against the wall. I can't even reach for another wine bottle without putting myself within her reach. Despite my earlier bravado, I don't think she will be able to exist at all without the mirror. Can you blame me though? It's not like an expert on the supernatural.
That's not... You shouldn't be...
What? After the mirror? Did you think just moving on will erase what you did to me? You're nothing but a murderer, Marianne. A murderer!
Stay back. You're not real. Leave me alone. Stop. I'm trying to move on with my life, so why won't you let me? Please. Just get out of my head and leave me be.
I try to find an exit when there's a click. The next thing I know, I'm falling back into darkness. I fall on my back and a door slams shut behind me. In a daze, I look around warily, find myself in another room entirely. On the other side of the wall, some sort of a secret passage perhaps, an underground tunnel that has me wary and frightened. It also proves that the oddities in the mansion floor plans are a lot more than just little discrepancies. I expect Lorraine to jump out at me from the darkness at any time. A breeze blows through the tunnel, as me relieved though. The idea that there is still a way to escape should that happen. That is way better than being trapped on the ground, which only God knows what that was. A funny thought comes to mind as I start walking to where the exit might be. I think about how Mrs. Wright would be so disappointed if I didn't show up to the party. I imagine how furious Mr. Wright will be for breaking one of his wine bottles. Even Johannes' reaction comes to mind though. I don't really know with that guy. Only thing is for sure is that I will be calling Cam and Aruna for a drink as soon as I get out of here. That noise has me wary. A ghastly thing, a corpse of a woman, leans on the wall. Her arms and limbs, almost every inch of her lithe body, is peppered with wounds and rotten flesh. And it is then that the pure smell of blood and gore hits me, making it so that I don't even question why I missed it in the first place.
How long has this been here? Oh, that smell. Oh, you're a nasty one, aren't you?
I flinch as the thing twitches. And as soon as it opens its eyes and looks at me with a smile, there's nothing on my mind but horror. I break into a run. I can't try to keep running, no matter how much my legs and feet screams at me to stop. I keep going even when I look back to see nothing of her anymore, because I can still hear her. The scampering of her feet, the words she tries to form with her bloodied mouth, and the painful sound of bones grinding against each other as she moves closer and closer to me.
How long are these damn tunnels?
There are a split second where I know that thing is right behind me, a strange sensation creeping over my limbs when her presence looms over me. And then suddenly, I can't even do anything before I'm yanked by the hair and pulled back, till I struggle up until I'm thrown to the side like a ragdoll. I hit the ground on my side, and the musty smell of old hay that reaches me is all my indication that I'm still alive.
Please don't hurt me.
My body hurts and I keep my eyes shut tight, afraid of what might happen next.
What's wrong, Marianne? Are you really afraid of little old me?
There's only dread seeing how she followed me even here. She looms over me, backs me further into the cell that I was thrown in.
Please. It's so cold. I don't want to be alone, Marianne. Why won't you stay with me? Why would you leave me? Why?
What are you?
Lorianne turns and shifts into that thing from before. And with that same gruesome grin, it takes a step forward towards the cell. Towards me. I barely scramble to my knees when the door to the cell slams shut. And I just stand there, staring. Shouts for help ring out in the tunnels. But none of them are coming for me. I'm more paralyzed and shocked by what is happening. My throat tightens as I'm fooled by the image of Lorraine and the thought of being trapped down here. So then, Rear.
Help me! Help me! Oh, help me! Are you getting all this on camera, Carl? Yeah, but are you guys sure this is a good idea? We're breaking and entering here. Don't worry, the owners of this place haven't been here in a long time. Look at this thing, though. It has writing in blood like some cheesy 80s horror prop. Wait, I have an idea. Oh man, that's genius!
What kind of butthead would even take this thing seriously? Maybe we can stick this in Rowan's backpack. That's Suarez kid would panic.
Guys? What? Spit it out! Behind you!
There, in the corner of the cell, a digital camera comes flickering to life. Now video has played back on the screen. It was hard to even consider paying any attention to it when my life is on the line. But when the ghost doesn't move and the teenagers' mocking shouts of help me fill the cell, I just had to watch. And what I have seen, students judging by the Saint Corrective uniforms they were holding. And that thing, the woman, she... Rebecca. This is how it begins, or so they say. It's a gentle wind drifting through a wide open windows. Muffled laughter and slow footsteps fading behind empty hallways, and a light kiss on the afternoon sun. Soon there will be a call, a crossing of the threshold into the unknown. Maybe we are off to some grand adventure, or diving into another gripping mystery. One can't really tell. For all I know, a hero might even come to sweep me off my feet. If I'm unlucky.
That's not exactly a bad thing when you think about it.
But this is far from one, isn't it? A riveting tale, that is. The mild breeze, the faint murmurs, the warm rays painting every nook and cranny a fiery hue. They are all as real as they can get. As much as I want to write a little tale out of it, I'm far from someone who can. Fleeting fancies, that's what these are. Merely passing thoughts to occupy an idle mind, while waiting for another busy work day to end. And again, maybe in another life I am one. Who knows? Let the present, what I have and what I've chosen to be. Well,
I won't last years here if I find teaching rowdy adolescents a tedious job, will I?
Admittedly, the whole affair isn't exactly grand or exciting as I had imagined as a child. If I were so stubborn and too passionate about the whole idea, I would probably quit a long time ago. But it's always the kids that make it worthwhile, isn't it? As in agreement, as soon as my pen slides into the neat circle against the paper, I'm grading the final bell rings. Like a dam that has been opened, students piling out in the hallway soon after. For a short minute, I'll let the noise fill my ears. Let the mind wander to a place far removed from all the hubbub. Solitary moments like this have a few far between lately. Even my own home hasn't been as quiet as usual as I prefer. Though in hindsight, the entire place isn't been the same either, since Isabella moved in next door. And if her fussing over a minor call last week tells anything, I might as well any idea of solitude out of the nearest balcony, as long as she lives nearby. At the memory, my eyes automatically shift over to the bundle, sitting at the edge of my desk. A chuckle escapes from me as I reach for it.
A little ball of energy and enthusiasm. That big baby.
Mother hen, she calls me, and then says and does the same thing right after. It's not that I'm unused to being on the receiving end of other people's worries, or I feel any sort of appreciations when we're fretting. If I'm to be completely honest, it's actually amusing how someone can be childlike one minute and then act like a responsible adult the next. But there are a dissonance there, both in their actions and words. Although she may not look like it, may not say anything, may not lose her cheer, one way or another, I know these troubles have weighed down on her lately. Her face says it all, that big numpty. If she thinks I won't notice, she got another thing coming for her. That's how she always been. I do understand that part, loud and clear. It's just that I'd really rather not pass another burden onto her.
Or become one myself.
Aren't I supposed to be one taking care of them? Though I guess it's simply one of those things people eventually grow away from. Once you all started leading different lives. Not completely different, I hope. Somehow, that thought makes me feel uneasy. Thankfully, before the stranger ideas can take root in my head, a faint buzzing comes from my bag, cutting through the rest of my thoughts. A small frown forms in my lips when the screen lights up, and an unknown number flashes. For a long second, my thumb hovers over the answer button. Even the voice that responds once I do accept the call is wholly unfamiliar.
Hello?
Goodness.
Yes, yes, speaking. Who is this?
Oh, sorry. Rose Cooper. Briar Realty Corporation.
Briar Realty?
My frown deepens as I straighten from my chair. Something in her tone, despite sounding remarkably friendly and light, doesn't sit quite well with me. The rigid pause that follows doesn't help to ease the tension that has suddenly descended either.
Miss Cooper?
Yes. Things are a bit busy on my end. I apologize. I'm not certain if Isabella has mentioned anything before, but we're working together on a property at the moment, and...
The Armengard Mansion, yes. She said something about that earlier. Is there a problem?
This is about Isabella, actually.
Huh. She wastes no time relaying everything. The details... wait. The details she provided are, admittedly, a bit vague, but enough for me to get the gist of what happened. It isn't the bad sort I'm expecting, though I'm still worrying. Especially with words panic attack and pale looking a bit sickly, woven together in one foreboding sentence. But as quickly as it surfaced, I stomped down the urge to demand answers, right there and then. Now isn't the proper time for useless questions. I'll find out soon enough, regardless. To Miss Cooper's credit, she neither hesitates nor falters all throughout. There's some sort of comfort in knowing Isabella has someone like her to guide her, though not as much as I would liked. After all, this is Isabella we are talking about. What are the chances that she said a bunch of excuses so she won't get sent back home? High. Very high. Oh, she is so going to hear it this time.
As one of her emergency contacts, so I thought it'd be best you know about this.
How is she? Is she doing okay?
I had her take a break for now, but honestly, I'd feel better if someone were to pick her up and take her home for some rest. Anthem's a fair distance from Luxborn. I really don't want her going off on her own. I'd do it myself, but oh, you know how it is today. Big day. People everywhere until the open house ends. I'm really sorry to ask this of you, Miss Gales. I know you're busy.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just about to leave from work. I hope to leave early today anyway. A few minutes ahead wouldn't hurt. I can be there in a few, 30, 40 minutes tops. Is that all right?
More than fine, Miss Gales, thank you. We're supposed to be here until... Oh, excuse me. One moment, please. Yes, ma'am.
A faint hum of conversation echoes from her end. It sounds as though the place is buzzing with more people than you'll expect from a regular open house. I was skeptical at first. The house is old, not to mention its inconvenient location in Luxborn outskirts. Who wants to live in a place almost an hour drive away from the comforts of a city? But from what little I can hear, it appears Isabella has every right to be optimistic about this sale. If I didn't understand why she was so adamant, refusing my offer to help before, I think I do now, to some degree.
We'll be resuming the tour soon. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. I really need to get this thing going. Lord knows how I'll salvage the situation here. It shouldn't be anything complicated, but still, clients. They can be difficult when they want to be. Anyway, just look for me when you get here, alright?
No problem. Thanks for letting me know about this. Just make sure Isabella stays put, please. Heaven knows how stubborn that girl can be.
Oh, believe me, I know. Don't worry about it. I'll have a few of our staff keep an eye on her for me until you get here.
That's all I'm asking. I appreciate it.
The whole thing ends on a surprisingly pleasant note. If only the same can be said for the news they brought. I allow a brief minute to pass, to ease whatever tension has lashed itself firmly on my nerves. But no matter how much I wish for it, my mind stubbornly refuses to do so. My hands are unsteady against the papers I pretend to arrange after. Lucid thoughts, every single ounce of the grimmer than the other, grows with each passing second I linger. Something about this whole thing, along with the sudden unease and nagging worry, screams off. Wrong. This isn't the riveting tale I hope to step into today. Even on a rush, getting everything in order before I leave takes nearly a good quarter hour. By the time I make it out of the classroom, the commotion has already died down, filling into mere echoes and distant laughter. From the nearby room, melodies of the rehearsing band drift freely into the air, filling the almost empty hall with their warm, lively tunes. Another day, I'll stop, bask in the music and enjoy what little peace it brings. Not today, however. My steps are brisk, and sure I march to Edward Hall's exit. The sooner I confirm Isabella's okay, the sooner I can shake off this niggling feeling. For one reason or another, the single call, of all possible things, has thrown everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over with as quickly as possible. So much that I nearly barrel over a student in my haste. Though, perhaps, it's really the other way around. When I look down, a set of eyes, bright and hopeful, stare back at me. Her arms are wrapped around my waist, like a vise. My attention, a grin spreads over her face. Bien astartes, Miss Pink.
Hello, Kylie. You know, you aren't supposed to run into people like that.
Sorry, Miss Pink. She loosened her hold on me, but not a hint of guilt or regret appears on her. If anything, it seems that remark only amused her. A smile appears on my face before I can help it, matching the one on her own.
Just remember not to do it again, alright?
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
Just remember not to do it again, alright? You could get hurt.
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long. But he promised to buy me jelly babies today if I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Mama and Papa!
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
She shakes her head, both her hands going to her mouth, as to keep the precious secret from spilling out.
I made a promise. He said it's for Tia Luke.
Wait, doesn't her voice change there? Like...
I think he's taking too long. I made a promise. He said it's for Tia Luke.
Yeah, her voice changes there.
I think he's taking too long. I made a promise. He said it's for Tia Luke.
Yeah, it was taken...
Oh,
it's weird.
Like a gift?
Like a deal. Tio promised to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
Laughter slipped free from my lips. The teacher in me wants to give whoever this Tio is a reprimand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children. But if both Soares kids are so fond of him, there shouldn't be anything to worry about, yes? At any rate, they are nothing but well-behaved, both Kylie and her brother. Rowan, the eldest, may have an occasional odd streak in and out of class, but their parents taught them well. I see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on them.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, alright?
It's not. Cross my heart.
Cross my hope and heart to fly.
My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
Is that why you're here?
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Oh, oh no. I can't stay right now, Kylie.
Her face falls immediately after the words are out. A small part of me feels responsible for that crestfallen look. But, as much as I want to stay a little longer, there's another place I need to be at right now. And frankly, another child to look after. Taking both of her hands, I kneel in front of her and muster the most rueful smile I can give. At her age, I'm quite sure she'll already understand what I'm about to say before they are even out. But, remarkably, she doesn't look away or pout, as I'm expecting her to.
I'm sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week, after class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
What about her mama and papa?
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid. Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
Her eyes immediately light up at the question. Just like that, I know I earned the girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Who?
My friend. She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast. But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore. Melody says it's weird I talked to her, but I think she's just shy. They could be good friends too! Don't you think so, Miss Pink?
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
That's what I think. Takako's just lonely. If she makes more friends, she won't be anymore. Is your friend like that too?
Wait. Ashton and Luke.
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile. Even then, things have been taking a turn for the worse. 5 years and one will think it's enough time to know a person. But when you consider it, come to think of it, all these years I never, not even once, seen her cry. Not over a trivial matter, or even when things are tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
Thank you. Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, alright?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Takako says so. A small one is okay.
I'll remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you too. See you, Miss Pink.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
She doesn't look back or wait for any sort of goodbye from me. With a song and extra spring in her step, she pulls across the corridor as much spirit only a child of her age can have. As if the conversation had never taken any downhill turn for her at all. As if there isn't a single thing to worry about in the world. Not long after, she disappeared behind the door, leaving behind a strain of old familiar rhyme ringing in the air. Carefree, unbidden, untroubled moments like this, I envy her. And as I resume my hurried pace, a tiny whisper at the back of my mind wishes the same can be said for myself and my other worries. Luxbourne can be a small city, but it's no stranger to hellish rush hour traffic. But surprisingly, getting out of the city today proves more of a breeze than a hassle. A relief, considering how none of my calls to Isabella made it through. Either the reception's really bad over there, or she ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease the disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much incident, as soon as I'm out of the busy street. In less than 30 minutes, the mansion looms ahead of me. With all the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxborn, the estate and the nearby Enslem village stand as its complete opposite. Living and breathing these songs of the old, whispering on a once booming heaven lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm glad modernization hasn't wholly touched.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people!
Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to do. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think this rich type will appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading off the main entrance. Most of the guests are already heading out, though some still linger. It's mainly just to take photos of the house facade or its various rooms. I pause for the moment, scanning the whole small crowd gathering in at the foyer, looking for any sign of the familiar ponytail among the sea of hat and head.
No sign of her.
No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper either. I can certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in a place this big, I'll be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet with Zachary and Ash tonight. Sigh, I reach for my mobile and redial her number. The gesture unfamiliar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I hope the network reception will cooperate this time. This side of the country has never been popular with the tech savvy, after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. The fourth one, right as it's about to switch to another intercept message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up. The ringing going far too long for my tastes. But now, most of the visitors has already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and an eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles, and you just wait till the noises louder than they ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion. Floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house histories. The now empty hall, they all reverberate with a special clarity against the walls. Like this, those old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to it. I don't yet to stray far into that ugly line of thought, however. Not a second later, a click sound from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and... Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the calls get cut off. Vision notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. Above the noise cutting through the mute air, remains a faint cry of a woman. Far beyond the foyer. My hand falls to my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one here hearing this. There must still be some staff hanging around, checking things out. But no one does. Not even when her sobs turn more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there? Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over where her cries come from, each step slow and cautious towards the door on the other end of the room. While I'm far from someone who readily gives into fear or stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I had earlier immediately returns to me. And despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle? Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body senses, mouth dragging a rage breath, ears straining for any other sound yet to come from the other side. But nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the room. I wait for another second. Then, with a caution, I reach for the knob. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when a hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me, ma'am? I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
No, it's a...
Still reeling from my gaze, shift back to the door, as if any second now the cries will start again, or whoever inside will burst out of the door. I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze in my mind again, only soothing in the thick of my unease. Even if the concerned looks comes from a total stranger, finally being a company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wait immobile in front of her, like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I load my tight grip on it and quickly slip into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes, and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere or venture deep into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the ladder right now.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. Girl never listens.
Rose? Rosie? May I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile, still friendly, even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say at the least. That level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly didn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
Alright, this won't be long, I promise.
She throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over to the small group gathering at the entrance. A couple of siblings. Another woman, probably their secretary. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills, no extravagance of any forms. But their gesture and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can do to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them. All while also attempting my best not to listen on their conversation. Although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls. There's only the five of us here. Pretty soon I find myself being drawn to the talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
The mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment, a fleeting shift on my eyes.
Monday for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this,
And the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup.
There's a shadow over him, though.
Aren't you, Marianne?
There's a shadow over him.
You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we? In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Looming, hovering over his shoulder, drawn to him like a moth of flame. A dark blur. No, a shadow.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
You heard her, love. She's busy.
What a shame. You never let me do anything fun.
It's her ear. But as I try to make sense of it, I have a feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling under my skin and draining me little by little of any strength. Before I know it, my hand is gripping the nearby door for support. The sudden nausea drowns out their voices, and what little sound there is. All except for the whisper and the laughters. Judging, mocking, taunting, muffled, inaudible, words bearing down on me like the death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binding with every syllable, every utterance, and with every draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully into a bottomless abyss, on and on and on, till the sounds turn into mere distant echoes, until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
His voice ripped through the fog like a sharp blade, and my eyes snap open. When I look at him again, it's gone.
You can head back to the car first if you want, Luke. I hope that settles everything, Rose. I don't know what Isabel's problem is, but please make sure she doesn't hurt herself. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadow or dark clouds. Only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries, as Miss Cooper leads them out of the mansion like a grateful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it. And even as I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs, and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. It returns a moment later. Gently she closes the great door behind her, but there's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. I was just seeing things.
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we're going to... Hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
Not like your hair, though.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. And I have to end it here. Sadly enough. We have been coming a long way, yeah. These horrifying moments. Yes, that is horrifying. Only 2 back zones left. Ah, chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 2. Chapter 3. Five, 6, 7. Memory fragment. Well, this is the end of the stream, and I will see you again tomorrow with another game. We'll stop the letter for now to next weekend. Small story. So for tomorrow we'll go back to the Witcher 3. Some more adventure style. But thank you for coming by. You've been so awesome so far. I really appreciate it. Good night or good day wherever you are, and I'll see you later. Good night.